We just watched the film Inside Out, and it is wonderful for teaching kids about emotions. And I just got a book that was kind of the founding book in the field. And so I want to talk about the intellectual tradition going from this book directly to Inside Out. Here's the book as it was originally published in 1862 in French by Duchenne de Boulogne. And you might recognize Duchenne's name from a number of neurological conditions. And so he was a doctor who was paying attention to the work of Galvani on electricity and how it affected muscles. And he was in the process of founding the field of neurology against a pretty indifferent French scientific establishment. Duchenne became interested in the muscles of the face and how they portray emotion. And we have 43 muscles in our face, and so which ones make those basic emotions that we think about? And so he did this by taking electricity and hooking it up to people's faces. There were a number of participants, but it was especially this old French guy because apparently his face was just tough as leather, and the painfulness of sticking these electrodes in didn't bother him that much. He's not actually smiling here at the procedure. Duchenne found the muscles to make you look like you're smiling, but the guy said he didn't mind it that much. There's two very cool things about this book. One is the first neurology book of all time to use photographs in it to illustrate the scientific principles involved. So my edition here is just filled to the brim with plates. This was very expensive. All these photos were put in by hand when it was first done, but it was a way to show the emotions that were considered to be universal, that and the face could be electrified to show that. The other cool part is he didn't limit himself to just the basics of emotions. The last part of the book is all about beauty and truth and aestheticism in general, and how the emotions of the face that are universal to all of us play into this. And so it is a pretty poetic way for a neurologist to end a really important text like this. That book was highly influential to Charles Darwin in his The Expression of the Emotions in Man and Animals. And if you've never read Darwin, this is the book to read. It is so readable. What a smart guy. He sent surveys to people all over the world asking about how universal these emotions were. And it's such a readable book today. Origin of the Species would be insider baseball for most people, but this is still worth reading and is a fun read. Darwin included these photos from his contemporary Duchenne to illustrate this, and this book has been called the foundational text of modern psychology. However, it's also been called his forgotten masterpiece because no one really followed up on this work. It was so readable, it was so relevant, and yet it was kind of dropped until a guy named Paul Ekman came along. Paul Ekman, the guy to the right, not the guy to the left. I wonder if TikTok's going to ban it because of this guy's picture. Oh, I bet this video won't do well. Anyway, let's give it a try. Ekman spent a lot of time following up on Darwin's work. He traveled all over the world, looking at people all over the world to see how universal these emotions are. And he came up with what he defined as the basic emotions and wrote 15 books about this, became one of the most cited psychologists of all time, did things with works with guys like this to try to spread these ideas about emotional intelligence and emotional awareness. But what's funny is he said the most influential thing he ever did, more than the books he wrote and all the lectures, was this show called Lie to Me, where Tim Roth, the guy who is amazing in Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead, plays a detective kind of character who uses micro expressions of the face, which was Paul Ekman's specialty, to figure out what's going on with criminals or in whatever kind of case they're trying to solve. And the show keeps pulling clips from famous people to show how micro expressions show up in everyday life. And now there's a whole almost underbelly world of teaching people how to read other micro expressions so you're more in the know about what's happening at the person across the negotiating table or dating table. And finally, to pull it all full circle, Paul Ekman was brought in as a consultant on Inside Out to help this Pixar crew figure out the best way to teach kids about their emotions. And I think they did a great job. And when I explained all of this to my 6-year-old this morning, she was vaguely interested. And the hope is that when she watches this in 15 to 20 years, that she may be mildly interested.